All right. Welcome to the um, February 12, 2025 meeting of the Peabody Conservation Commission. A little bit of, or the attendees tonight are uh, Brian Cassidy, Mike Vivaldi, Arthur Athis, Bruce Comack, Mike Rizzo, Amy Harrop, and myself, Stuart Lazaris, for the record. A little bit of housekeeping in accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25. Notice is hereby given of a meeting of the Peabody Conservation Commission. At this time, the Peabody Conservation Commission hearings will continue to be held remotely, which is allowed pursuant to Governor Maura Healey's March 29, 2023 extension of the temporary provisions allowing remote meetings until March of 2025. The public may participate in this meeting remotely. A meeting ID has been provided on the conservation agenda and posted on the city website. The If if you wish to join us or speak, raise your hand. There's a button for raising your hand. And once you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record. Uh, we're still waiting. I mean, I talked to Joan Lovely and she sent me a note saying they're looking to vote for extending Zoom meetings, but we won't hear that until probably March. So with that, let's begin. First is a notice of intent, public hearing on a notice of intent submitted by BSC Group, Inc., Diana Waldron, for the City of Peabody and Mass DOT. Proposed consists of the construction of a 1.25-mile section of shared use path to extend the Independence Greenway in border to Boston Trail network. The project follows a formerly existing railroad bed and existing state highway layout. Two pedestrian bridges are proposed. The property is known as Lieutenant Ross Park to Peabody Road. Map is various, lots various, and tonight is the first meeting. And we have Diana here. Hi, Diana.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Want to tell us how exciting this project is, please?
Yes, I can do that. I do have a slideshow. If it's possible to share, I can do that, and otherwise I can just kind of read through the project.
Please share.
Okay,
Yeah, please share.
I will try that. Okay. Hold on just a sec, actually. I'm going to start the slideshow.
Through the chair, sorry to interrupt. Is Sam Saba, did I pronounce that name right? Is there a person named Sam Saba Farmer? I'm gonna go ahead and promote that, and I promoted someone else with BSC Group. I noticed the name. There she is. Hello. Hi.
Yes. Yep, I'm here with Catherine Egan tonight. She is our transportation engineer and project manager. And Sam is also a contributing transportation engineer to the project. Okay,
Take
let
it
me see
away.
if I can figure out this screen to share. And is everybody seeing a slideshow with an opening scene?
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. I did lose my presentation mode, but that's okay. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So, as the intro noted, this is the Peabody Independence Greenway, and being part of the community, I'm sure you know there are existing sections, active and in place sections of the Greenway, and this is a new proposed additional section to try to tie up and connect some of the sections out there. And this one will be in the area of I-95 and Route 1. And again, this is the City of Peabody and a collaboration with Mass DOT for the construction funding. So just to quickly go through the permitting that we have proposed, that we know we have to do and that we have in process. Back in October, of 2024, we submitted our MIPA, EENF, an expanded environmental notification form, along with a rollover environmental impact report. And so that went through a 37-day review process and had a public meeting, a site walk, and met we met Lucia and vice chair out there, and and also had a DEP representative, Alicia Galen, was with us as well. And we were issued our EENF certificate back in November. It automatically went into another 37-day review period for the EIR. And in January of this year, we received that final MIPA decision. And so that process is complete and successful. And then we, early in January, filed our notice of intent with the Conservation Commission. A little later in January, we filed with Mass DEP Chapter 91 Waterways for a bridge over Proctor Brook that we'll discuss in a minute. And then in early February, we filed with the Army Corps for a Clean Water Act Section 404 permit. And we're also holding this first public meeting with the Peabody Conservation Commission. So just to talk about the reason for the project, so there's 6.1 miles of existing paved Independence Greenway multi-use path. There's 4.6 miles of separated kind of cross-country path and 1.5 miles on roadways. And so this project will add 1.25 miles of a separated path and remove that kind of shared roadway piece of the route. And so we are proposing two new pedestrian bridges. One will span over Route 1, and the other will span over Proctor Brook. And this is also providing a trail connection to border to Boston. Just a quick overview map of where the existing paths and routes are, and then this purple circle in the middle here is the piece that we're talking about tonight. A little closer view beginning at Lieutenant Ross Park to connect to the trailhead there, and then along the abandoned railroad bed, up and over Route 1 with the pedestrian bridge, following some on-road, but now will be separated from the traffic along Lowell Street, and then turning down along the I-95 embankment, crossing over Proctor Brook, and then eventually reconnecting with the abandoned railbed to connect to the Peabody Road trailhead. So again, this is providing an accessible connection for bicycles and pedestrian users between the two existing trailheads. It's a safe route over Route 1 and along Lowell Street, where currently people are basically just sharing the road with traffic, and it's busy and dangerous. And also that connection to border to Boston. It just improves transportation and recreational options and compatible with the ADA. So some of the conditions out there, as I mentioned, starting at Lieutenant Ross Park, there's an abandoned rail bed with an easement with the city. And so it's an existing corridor, 65 feet wide. There's some sections that can still include some tracks and ballast. And it's adjacent to the Lieutenant Ross Park as well as the Larrabee Conservation Land, moving east towards Route 1. And so then as you get to Route 1, the span will go up and over the highway and basically land at a property off of Route 1 and in between the two highway corridors. And at that point, it will follow Lowell Street, where, again, Mass DOT jurisdiction comes into play as well. And there are currently no bicycle facilities or routes in this section. So then, as it approaches it goes under the underpass of I-95, it will turn into the Mass DOT right-of-way along the embankment of the highway. It's the edge of a forested area as well as the Bethel Cemetery parcel. And so with an easement from the cemetery, the trail will build a pedestrian bridge over Proctor Brook and reconnect again with the abandoned rail bed heading east to Peabody Road. And this section, the rail bed does not really contain any track, even though there's a cleared corridor at that point. So the project would be 10 in some places and more ideally 12-foot wide paved path with grass shoulders. In Lowell Street, it's basically going to be something of a road diet, narrowing down lanes to make that space to allow for a path to be physically separated from traffic. The two pedestrian bridges, Route 1 and over Proctor Brook. As part of it, there's part of the proposed activities are to replace a buried culvert that carries the intermittent portion of Proctor Brook near from Pine Street near the substation in the area of Lieutenant Ross Park. There'll also be stormwater management, landscaping, plantings, and amenities, some signage, and things like that. This is a quick rendering of the Route 1 bridge as it looks today and what the span bridge will look like over the highway. And then just a sketch or a detail of the Proctor Brook proposed bridge. And this would completely span the brook. It would not require any work in the water for this portion. It would, I believe it's over 100 feet of a span over the water, and all the abutments would be fully on land, not impacting the bank, not impacting the water. And we do meet all the Massachusetts stream crossing standards for this bridge. So just to describe some of the streams and wetlands that we have out along the route. So Proctor Brook crosses the route twice as an intermittent stream. So all of the crossings of Proctor Brook and all the watershed west of the two highways, it's an intermittent stream. And then once you head east of the highways, there's enough of a watershed and drainage area to actually create it becomes a perennial stream at that point. And so then some of the other systems are just smaller tributaries and the drainage systems that flow to Proctor Brook. And then we did delineate about 12 different wetland areas adjacent to the project limits. The other resources that we have along the route are bordering land subject to flooding. And this is only in the area where Proctor Brook becomes perennial near the Peabody Road crossing. We looked at preliminary floodplain and FEMA data, and although it's not currently mapped for a 100-year floodplain or 1% chance floodplain, it is shown there in the preliminary FEMA maps, and so we did hydraulic studies to identify a elevation that would match, that would be the BLSF in this case. And then also in that area, we have riverfront area because Proctor Brook becomes perennial in this location. So this is a rundown of the project impacts that we provided on the plans, and then we can maybe look at, this is a little hard to see, but we do have some permanent bordering vegetated wetland impacts, 132 square feet. This is a result of some of the trail grading, and then the majority of the permanent impacts are resulting from replacing that buried culvert of Proctor Brook, the intermittent portion of Proctor Brook, and just having to, get into the head walls, build that connection. We're basically replacing a damaged piece of the piping that is causing some flooding out there, and basically just replacing it in a larger size diameter pipe and better capacity to take that flow from one wetland near Pine Street over to the substation. So we do have some temporary wetland impact, BVW impact that again is part of the construction, some of the construction access for the cranes to build the Proctor Brook Bridge, and as part of the replacement of the culvert as well. So we have a total of just over 1,100 square feet of wetland impact. So inland bank, again, the replacement of the culvert requires us to have some impact to get that connection made at the stream bank. We also have some work along the I-95 corridor that will require stone stabilization right up against the bank line of a stream that runs to Proctor Brook in that area. And then just again, stabilization and grading. So for 171 linear feet. And then for land underwater, the only area we have is temporary dewatering for installing that buried pipe replacement and a small amount of permanent 40 square feet we have to build a small scour protection pad that we will overlay with stream bed material where the pipe is placed and the stream would outlet into the wetland there, or the stream channel there. We have over 18,000 square feet of bordering land subject to flooding impacts, and with 3,568 cubic feet of fill to the bordering land subject to flooding. And this is in order to raise the trail above the floodplain elevation. The city had indicated they wanted it to be at or above the 100-year floodplain elevation out there. So we did raise the trail, which caused fill, but we are able to mitigate for almost double. We have all the appropriate elevation replacement with compensatory storage. And then again, riverfront area, we do have almost 60,000 square feet total. A large portion of that is already disturbed through the abandoned rail bed, but not necessarily degraded or paved or anything like that, but it is the existing rail bed corridor. And we do have some temporary impacts. A lot of them are temporary impacts for the construction of the Proctor Brook Bridge. So, and then we did have an impact to a stream that would be under the local ordinance, but it would not meet the definition of stream under Wetlands Protection Act. And that would be, again, there's a man-made channel, a drainage outlet near the I-95 corridor, and that will be basically shifted, and a stormwater control feature will be kind of created out of it. It is a channelized feature, but was man-made, and it would not meet the wetland definition, the Wetland Protection Act definition. So just a quick review of where these impacts are happening. This is the rotary, a little roundabout, basically connecting the Lieutenant Ross trailhead to the new section of the bike path. And then as we're moving east, this is where the existing pipe carrying Proctor Brook under almost like 180-ish feet, 150 to 180 linear feet of a buried pipe. So it's already buried, it's underground through this whole section, but there has been a lot of flooding and damage, especially back in April of last year when we were getting all that rain. So there's a whole bunch of erosion you can see here, and flooding issues. So we believe that pipe is damaged, and we do want to replace it from a 12-foot diameter to a 3-foot diameter pipe. And so this BBW impact is happening here to be able to install the new pipe, some grading to, direct the flow into the new pipe, and the old pipe would be abandoned. And then that's going to be built to carry Proctor Brook back into its stream channel. So again, this is the land underwater impact in orange, and the small amount of permanent impact for that scour protection. And the red is a permanent wetland impact from needing to get the trail graded and installed. And then this little green area is also the proposed wetland replication area. So we're going to replace the BBW permanently lost greater than a 1-to-1 ratio. So as we move east, there's just a few little similar little grading hits with a little tiny purple impact there. The Larrabee Conservation Land has a very large emergent marsh system to the north of the trail, and some forested shrub wetland to the south of the trail. And so some of that grading stabilization of the trail will have some temporary impacts for installing erosion controls right up adjacent to the wetland boundary. So I skipped all of Route 1 crossing and the Lowell Street piece, as there are no jurisdictional impacts in those areas. And this is as we're turning back south down along the I-95 embankment. And this pink area is the local jurisdiction swale stream impact. And then as we continue, we have the small amount of bank impact as a result of the trail and the stone stabilization needed right up against the existing stream bank. And then this is as we cross, we're heading down to the crossing of Proctor Brook. And the larger area shown is to provide some constructability for the crane access so they can install that bridge over the brook. And so blue is bordering land subject to flooding impact, purple is temporary BVW impact, and then pieces that are kind of like a teal color are the starting to be parts of the floodplain compensatory storage. And there's also riverfront area impact. Everywhere we see impact, it's all through the riverfront area here. Again, this is where we have a lot of the bordering land subject to flooding impact from the filling the trail to meet the particular elevation we're looking for. And then that teal is the compensatory storage. And just a quick photo of Proctor Brook in this area. And then we reach the Peabody road crossing and the end of the project. And it just, again, all bordering land subject to flooding impacts through this area. And so some stormwater design, and then we're going to discuss the mitigation. And if Catherine would like to just run very quickly through the stormwater components.
Sure. Yeah, good evening, everyone. As Diana mentioned, my name is Catherine Egan. I'm the project manager. So wanted to share a little bit about our proposed stormwater design. For the existing drainage system, we are making some minor modifications on Route 1 and Lowell Street, primarily adjusting catch basins for new curb lines, and if there tends to be a new low point or something like that, adding an additional structure. For the trail itself, we are proposing bioretention swales. There's 5 in total, and 2 of them will have sediment 4 bays that will provide pretreatment. And we included an example photo in the top right of what those would look like as an example project we had previously designed. And I also included a figure down here to show the planting plan for one of the proposed bioretention swales. Do you want to go to the next slide, Diana?
Sure, thank you.
And as mentioned, so we have 5 stormwater control measures, which are all bioretention swales. I've included a rendering here from the MassDOT Stormwater Design Guide of what that will look like. They essentially will have pools that are separated by stone check dams with plantings. In this case, we were not able to do infiltration. As I was kind of describing, a lot of the path runs through adjacent resource areas, and infiltration wasn't feasible. So these will just be filtering bioretention areas, but they will help with TSS removal throughout the project.
And I think just to note that as a footpath, a pedestrian path project, the stormwater management standards apply to the maximum extent practicable. So they are given a little bit of leniency for these kind of projects. And so quick discussion of the mitigation. As I mentioned back on the other slide, we do have a permanent wetland replication area, 215 square feet. And for the most part, we would excavate adjacent to the wetland boundary to meet the existing grade, and then over excavating, replacing with appropriate organic material, using a wetland seed mix. And I believe we have, it's a fairly small area, but I believe we have a few shrubs to plant there and maybe a red maple. And then for the bordering land subject to flooding, we have compensatory flood storage. And in our application, we do have the table showing how we're meeting each elevation by elevation from fill to storage, so that we are exceeding the amount of fill that we have almost by double, replacing the storage there. And that would be all along Proctor Brook. And for the riverfront area mitigation, as I mentioned, quite a lot of it is temporary, mostly for construction and the crane pad access. So we do have a planting plan, a restoration plan in those construction access areas with a number of native species, shrubs, and tree cover. And then the other piece that we wanted to do along the route was to do some construction management of invasive species during the construction phase. And as part of the project, we'll have some educational signage, and we wanted to dedicate one of the signs to erosion, to invasive species and kind of the problems they create with the ecosystem and just kind of giving the public an idea of how to manage them or identify them. So that was part of our kind of riverfront area mitigation, just because we don't have a ton of space to do additional restoration or other options in the kind of the limited right of way that we have. So we'll have other native plantings and green space along the trail. We have a set of landscaping plans as part of the application with the canopy trees, shrubs, ground cover, and different. We're actually going to put compost material down on some of the rockfill slopes adjacent to I-95 and between the trail and the stream, and we would seed that so that we would get some vegetative cover. And we were also putting some live stake willows along that area to get to after the stone has been installed to get some vegetation back along that stream bank. And of course, during construction, all the best management practices required for Mass DOT standards and other standards, so erosion and sediment controls, dust management, noise and construction limitations, idling and emissions, and then proper debris disposal. So then that's the end of the presentation. We do have some extra slides if there's questions that we might be able to support, with some additional visuals. But if you'd like to go ahead and ask any questions about the project, I will end the slideshow and hopefully.
Through the chair. Hi, this looks like an excellent project. But I was before you got rid of the pictures. The pedestrian bridges, especially the one over Route 1. Do you like a cross section diagram of that? I'm concerned of people being able to throw debris, over the fencing. So that was something that I'd be concerned about. And how high up is it? And is it a gradual slope for people to stay on their bikes to possibly bike over that section, or are they meant to actually walk over the bridge?
Yeah, Catherine, do you want to go ahead?
Sure, yeah. So there are long approaches to get the bridge up over Route 1. Those are supported on MSE walls, mechanically stabilized earth walls. And the slope grade on those is less than 5%, so they're meant to be ADA compliant for someone biking or walking. And as for the cross section, there is railing and fence, and I can pull up a figure for you to see that. Let's see. We had shared some of the figures Diana was sharing were from our public hearing last year on this project, and they had a little bit more detail on Route 1. And then while that's opening, to also answer your question, the Route 1 bridge will be have a minimum required clearance over Route 1 of 17.5 feet, and that'll be taller in some locations, such as the narrowest distance, and that meets MassDOT requirements, so it's not like a low height clearance or anything like that. And then here. So share my screen quickly. So this is going to be that section directly over Route 1. And so there's hand railings here that go up to 3 feet. And then there will be kind of like the prefabricated steel truss and then wire mesh fence going above it. Measure for you the exact height of that. So that's just under 9 feet tall. So it would be fairly difficult for someone to got stuff up and over it.
Is it the fencing like the curved type of, how they curve inwards, so make it more difficult for people to throw something off?
That I don't know,
Right
but
up.
I could ask our structural group, and we can follow up with that information.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be a lot of people, not just bikers, but just people going from one side of Route 1 to the other, probably using that
Definitely.
bridge. So again, I don't want anything, an accident to happen where someone throws something off the bridge, some kids or whatever. And so the fence is 8 feet tall, or 9 feet, you said,
Yeah, almost 9 feet.
but it's not curved in or anything
Not
like
that I
that.
know of.
Like on Farm Ave, I think the fence they have is tall, much taller than that. So that's just something to consider for safety reasons. Thank you.
Sure.
I'd like to make a comment. Very, very well done, BSC. Just was one of my thoughts. Was there any consideration given to create a maybe like an area where someone could do like a little scenic outlook, or something to that effect? Maybe additional. I understand that it's probably more extensive because of the going through wetlands, but just an area where someone could get outside of the bike path right away and step aside and rest or take a scenic look.
We
I don't know
did
if you want to take that one.
Yeah, we did think about that, especially in like maybe the Larrabee Conservation Land. We were looking at the possibility of what if we did some additional invasive species management out there, but there's a lot of Phragmites. There's a pretty extensive, just almost monostand of Phragmites out there. And in talking to the city, the kind of maintenance and like amount of wetland impact we might have to do some of that management would start triggering us into different permit thresholds and things like that. I would say it might, just with the use of the conservation land, and I don't know if it would start getting into any Article 97 issues, it being the city's land and maybe an overlook or a boardwalk kind of thing into the marsh, just even a deck or something like that. I don't know if that starts to be a different use of the conservation land and have some Article 97 issues. But yeah, at the moment, it isn't part of the route. We have
Okay.
some nice greenway and landscaping along, and certainly some like more
Yep.
like rest islands in the Lowell Street area, like places where people could pause and not just be in the street. But yeah, as far as an observation deck or a view, I don't think we have anything quite like that. Maybe something to add on in the future.
Yeah, I would add, we did put some benches just before the MSC wall approach west of Route 1, so that there would be a place for someone to rest before they went up the bridge or if they're just coming back down. And then working with the city, kind of this roundabout at the beginning of the project was something we had put together to kind of maybe make up for not being able to do some of those overlook type things due to like limited right away, and as Diane was mentioning, some of the Article 97 potential implications.
A little bit. One last question, a little bit different note. You were talking about the bioretention basins in the stormwater. Remind me what's the definition of a total suspended solid? Is that like gasoline particles, or remind me what TSS is the definition of?
Silt.
Yeah, I think it's more of a sediment and a silt versus like the
Silt.
hydrocarbons. Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
more of a turbidity.
Yep.
Through the chair. So
Go ahead.
I think the area where the roundabout is at the beginning of over there, side 10 there, that's gonna be a nice spot to relax and enjoy the flowers and the planting areas. It's pretty wide open and then even going with the single span bridge that spans Proctor Brook, that's a 180-foot span where you could, get off your bike and just stand along the edge and look at the river, and then you get that whole panoramic view moving east. You can see that. So I think that'd be a nice spot just to be able to stop and look around and rest. It's gonna be really nice. I think you've done a nice job with the bridge.
Thank you.
It's gonna be nice 'cause the bridge it's gonna be, although it's 22 feet above the Route 1, looking at the grades coming in and out, it's just a soft 5% grade over about 150 or 200 feet to get up to the bridge and then across and then back down at 5%. So it's gonna be nice and really enjoyable. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
I think you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Through the chair, what are they looking for from us? Are they just doing a presentation, or what are they looking for?
Sorry, I should have mentioned that we are looking for an order of conditions. This is the application for the order of conditions.
So we have an approved EIR. So that's been approved, and we're not waiting for anything else beyond
No,
our
we do still have to get the Chapter 91 license for the crossing over Proctor Brook, but they actually end up asking for the order of conditions in order to eventually give us that approval. So the order of conditions doesn't have to wait for Chapter 91. It's almost the other way around, that they would have to include the order in their final decision. And then we do have an application in before the Army Corps of Engineers, and again, they would not, their decision would not hold up the order of conditions.
and the MEPA review and appeal. That's already done. We're
We're
past that.
good. Yep, that's successful. Complete.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Good.
That was an effort.
It's an exciting project. Really.
Do I
Looking forward
get do we open this up to the public?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any hands raised. Do you?
Yep, if anyone's in the public and you would like to speak, now would be the time to raise your hand, please.
I don't see any hands raised.
I did receive one abutter call. It was a property along Johnson Street near the entrance to the park, and the woman who called was just more curious and interested in what part of the park were we working in, where was that connection being made? And I explained, it's basically the southern boundary of the park, not really up near the ball field so much as, down at the existing trailhead connection, and then kind of following the southern boundary of the park. And, she was just more interested in the project and the location, and was curious, if she'd hear construction noise and things like that. But that was the only call that I received.
All right. Motion to close public hearing.
Before you guys do that, could I saw Amanda came in, and if you could just double check with her if she's voting, so I don't put her in the roll call. I think she came in pretty early in the meeting, so if we could just hear from Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
I came in, I think, just at the end of this presentation, so if you don't want me to vote on it, that's cool.
That's up to you. If you felt like you saw enough or looked at enough, it's really your call.
Just based on like past and all what I've been looking at, I would like to vote.
Okay.
I move to close the public hearing.
I'm sorry? Motion to close?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second? Roll call.
Okay, I have a motion made to close made by Mr. Athos, seconded by Mr. Rizzo. Roll call, Chairman Lazaris.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi.
Yes.
Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
And Commissioner Harrop.
Yes.
All right, so the item is closed 8-0.
Okay, we need, a motion for orders of conditions and,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to issue order of conditions for this project.
you want to elaborate on what they are?
Yeah, sure. So it'll be standard orders of conditions 1 through 50. And then special conditions, checklist H, which items 1, 2, and 3 that entail requirements for fueling and equipment and storage within the project limits, and the use of petroleum products in safe distances from any resource area. And I got something a little too good here. Wait a minute. Item number 3, during and after the work in the project, there shall be no discharge of spillage of fuel, oil, or other pollutants into any resource area. Checklist J, which covers dewatering. I don't know if I need to read all the requirements about that. Are you folks familiar with our orders of conditions, I think?
Yeah,
But,
Lucia had sent them to us.
yeah, so checklist J
Read the
would be about
letters.
the section on dewatering, and checklist K would be projects which alter bordering land subject to flooding, discussion about compensatory flood storage. Checklist L would be projects which alter bordering vegetated wetlands. There's 3 parts to that. One is compensatory bordering vegetated wetlands shall be constructed prior to any filling. So some of these BMPs, based on these checklists, would hope to be constructed before any work is entailed, so we can be sure that it's raining or something like that, that these areas are already ready and prepared to handle stormwater and so forth like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3 parts to that. There's items 1, 2, and 3. And let's see. And then we did get a memo from Public Services, from DPS. And with regard to the notice of intent on sheet 24, there's a section between station 215 and 216. I think that's just before the section of the wood span bridge at Proctor Brook. And that area is about 100 feet long, station 215 to 115. They're requesting that no stockpiling of any kind between those 2 stations. And then there was another location, the next sheet, which was just past the timber structure across Proctor Brook. And it's with regard to the concerns about there's an existing sewer main. And so they were asking that they, from like station 216 plus 40 to 217, so that's about 160 feet long section parallel to the path, that they don't want the guardrail. They're concerned that the guardrail needs to be maybe relocated. When you look at the cross sections where you have the guardrail, the face of the guardrail, you might have to move that a little bit in that 140-foot area, because there's a sewer main under there. So we're gonna have to maybe do some test pits or something to make sure we can install the guardrails so we have the proper safety, but not endanger the sewer main.
Yeah, I think that one will coordinate with DPS, the
Yeah.
sewer is fairly deep there, and those wood guardrail posts only go down about 3 feet below the ground surface. So we'd have
Right, and they do have standards. If there's a utility underneath, you can shorten them up and put them in, you don't have to go so deep. But it's
yeah.
probably a little, I know because I think the guardrail is installed just past the shoulder and
Mhm.
slightly down the slope. So we don't want to go too far down because then the guardrail becomes too low and it's not going to be to do his job. So it's something I think we can work out during construction and find the best place to put the guardrail. Maybe bring it up closer to the shoulder because it looks like maybe the sewer line is more away from the path.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and I think the first comment I'll discuss with Will in more detail. We've been coordinating with him. There would be stockpiling between 215 and 216, but the discussion we've had is that there would be no stockpiling on top of or within the zone of influence with the sewer line. So I think we can just
okay.
clarify that with him.
Yeah, because they didn't really say that. They just say no stockpile.
Right.
So maybe that's okay. So we'll just include this in the order,
Okay.
and then you can further discuss that with Bill and the team there.
Okay.
I'd like to just add to that with special conditions 51 and 52. Does BSC have a copy of a draft?
We do have that.
So special conditions, including 51 and 52.
Would you be able to add to that language that unless additional agreements with DPS would allow for exceptions, just to make sure that if we do continue on with the discussion and so we are not restricted to no stockpiling, it might be, clarified to the no zone of influence stockpiling or something like that, just so it's not in the order saying we can't do it, that there'd be like kind of an escape hatch to continue discussing with approval of DPS.
The additional 51 and 52 special conditions that Mike Vivaldi was talking about. 51 was staging equipment in vegetated wetlands or water resource shall be prohibited. And 52, invasive plant removal, herbicide chemical mixing shall not occur within sensitive areas, wetlands, or buffer zones. And a contractor shall not spray 2 hours prior to precipitation, during rain, or during windy conditions. Getting the following checklists, and Mike Rizzo read off all the checklists.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That meant that those would become special conditions. 51 and 52 would be the
Exactly. Yes. We don't know if you had a copy of those, but you will.
There was one, number 48 of the standard conditions, says you can't, I believe, have a slope greater than 2 to 1 within buffer zone. And we had mentioned to Lucia that along the 95 embankment, we do have 1.5 to 1 stabilized rock slope that Diana was describing, that has the compost and seed on top of it. So we're hoping that one could maybe just be modified to allow that slope treatment.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm okay with that because that's a 1.5 to 1 where you're going to have modified rock fill, and then you're going to introduce soil in between the spaces of the rock and promote seeding and vegetation grow there. So that would be a good stable slope, and you'd be able to vegetate it. So I'm certainly okay with that.
Okay.
So that should be a condition that permits the greater slope.
Yeah, if it's greater than 2 to 1, so they use anything, the 1.5 to 1s, at least on this project, at least unless I missed it, I looked at all the cross sections. I think they're all have modified rockfill slopes. So if that's the only condition with anything greater than 2 to 1, then I'm good.
Through the chair, I was thinking I could either just do like a cross out, like the line out, or I could just add to was that was 48, correct, Diana?
I think Catherine, yes, I think
Yeah,
noted it.
Sorry. So 48, I was either going to do the cross out, or then I was going to say, or with the exception of approval of Plan C plans, something like that. And
I
then
would say that, yeah.
those would be good. And then the other one I think was 43. It was the spacing of signs, and I completely agree with her. I think the sign, it says something like 25 feet, and it definitely that they're going to be putting up a million signs if that's the
Yeah.
case. So I don't know if you guys wanted to touch on that. I don't even know necessarily, I would think you could probably have pretty wide signs. Like they don't have to like 100 feet. I don't know.
Okay.
It's really up to the commission if you want to read that condition to them and see what they say.
Sure, yeah. So 43 said that there must be a sign every 25 feet when you're within a resource area. So excuse me, every 20 feet along the limit of work. And the sign must say absolutely no work beyond this point. And we were suggesting, since the project's very long and linear in nature, that distance could be increased somewhat and limited to just areas within the like buffer zones and that sort of thing.
Okay.
It was a,
Mike
I'm
Rizzo. Mike,
Hello?
Mike Rizzo, did you read checklist L paragraph 3? I don't remember.
let me see.
Wetland specialist shall be
I
on
did,
site.
I said paragraph item 3, but I didn't read it.
Okay.
It's a kind of a long paragraph, so I
It is.
put
No, as long as it's in the record, we'll have it. So,
Yeah.
Well, I think Mass DOT, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because this is my first time working with you guys, or not you guys, but on a bike path like this. I'm pretty sure Mass DOT has specs for um, the um, the BDW. So am I correct? You guys are gonna have there's gonna be a plan that I'm gonna put in here, and it's pretty much very similar to this. And if it's not, it would be whatever Mass DOT says, I guess, whatever's in the
Yeah.
approval. Could you guys
The
speak to
typical
that?
section,
Yep.
the typical sections in the project, in this project set of plans shows all those details. But I did notice that your typical section, where you have loam and seed, it's usually loam and seed is 3-to-1 and flatter. You can loam and seed. But I noticed that in some of your typicals where you have a 2-to-1, you're showing loam and seed, which is okay. But if it's a sustained slope, I think this needs some more protection there, maybe some fabric on it or something like that. So it doesn't say that in the detail. Your typicals don't say more protective treatment on a 2-to-1 slope if it's a long sustained slope. So
Yeah, that should be no problem to add some geotextile fabric for slope stabilization on those 2-to-1.
Okay, great.
okay. Anybody else?
Yes.
Go ahead,
I
Mike.
have more of a curiosity question in regards to something like a long linear path like this. How does and with such restrictions in regarding the wetlands, how does the asphalt get from like into the middle of the area where when you want to actually pave the actual path? How does it get? It's not like there's a asphalt truck that can get in there. So how does
Oh, there will
how
be.
does that work?
Yeah, so the path is going to be wide enough that Peabody Municipal Light Plant's trucks will be able to get up and down it for their maintenance of the overhead
But
utilities.
like a cement truck will be able to lay the asphalt?
Yeah,
Or
I'm not 100% sure what the contractor do, but my thought is like they'll build the sub base of the path, and then say this on the Lieutenant Ross Park side, they'll drive that equipment all the way down to Route 1 and kind of work their way backwards, and laying that cement and rolling the asphalt out. So
They,
they will have to probably
yeah.
use smaller equipment than you might see on like a Route 1 repaving
Right.
job, but yeah,
Right.
they'll be able to do
Yeah,
that.
they have paving machines that'll follow the truck, and they have small ones for. This is a 12. Most of it's a 12-foot paved section.
Yep.
But since
for
Mike
wide,
brought up the question about the paving, I do have one little question: is it's really a pavement structure that's not designed for vehicles. Is the pavement, okay, the thickness of the mix and the gravel and stuff. But I was wondering, there are a couple spots along the new trail that the electric company might have need access to get to their building.
Yep.
And I was wondering if you could just look at the pavement structure
Yeah,
in
we
in that.
coordinated with MassDOT's pavement group. It is designed to be able to withstand the PMLP trucks. It's not as thick as a roadway because we're talking a vehicle probably driving up and down it maybe a dozen times a year. So it's not that sustained loading that roadways need to be designed for, but it is designed to be able to maintain the loading from those vehicles.
The vehicles, the roadway will be designed to handle ambulances and fire trucks, correct?
Correct, yeah.
All right, because I want to make sure the emergency vehicles can get there. Okay,
Very good.
so we have a motion to issue a
Favorable order of conditions.
an order of conditions with all the added stuff.
You want me to read it back real quickly? I do have one quick question because I think
Yes.
Mike added. Did you add a condition that all 2-to-1 slopes have to add geotextile fabric, or was that added to a different condition? Was that added to 40?
Yeah, well, if there's a
48?
2-to-1 slope, if there's a 2-to-1 slope that's very short, like a few feet, it's not a big deal. But I think most of the 2-to-1s are, it probably, could be as long as 10 feet long. So I think those areas should have some kind of fabric to ensure that seed's going to take with the loam.
So is that to be added? Is that like a condition, like 53, or did you want to add that to 48?
Well, they could just put it right on the typical sections. So any place on the typical sections where they have
Well,
2-to-1
no,
slope.
I'm talking about where are we putting it in the conditions?
Oh, I know, whatever number it is.
The next number, so 51. 51 was the staging of equipment outside of wetlands, obviously. 52 was the invasive plant removal, so then 53 would be this one?
Yeah, okay.
All right, perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna, so the motion was made for an order of condition standard 1 through 50, adding conditions. 51, which was the staging of equipment outside of the resources. 52 was the invasive herbicide mixing in sensitive areas condition. 53 was the 2-to-1, anywhere that there's a 2-to-1 slope, geotextile fabric should be added. We're going to tweak condition 48 to say see plans as approved. 43, the signs, are we going to say 100, 150 feet, or just a sign where as needed to be determined by the conservation agent? Like, how, I don't think you guys ever came up with how far the signs are going to be, or just as needed. Remember, this is a very linear project, so we don't want them spending tons of money on signs that might fall into the water or something and end up as trash.
Okay, so if you could, though, make sure that that note on the 2-to-1s gets put on the typical sections. So when the contractor bids it, he knows he's got to put that in. It's not going to be hidden somewhere.
Yep.
Should be on the typicals. Thank you. That'd be great.
As far as the signs go, I think somebody recommended 50 to 100 feet, and I would suggest the conservation agent be involved in, finalizing those dimensions, so we're not over signing or under signing, depending where you.
I just don't want them to, spend a bunch of money and then like they,
I agree. But I think
or
you
something
can.
and then they're gone, or something happens. We get some rainstorm and they wash away. Okay, so those.
No, I think you're qualified to come up with that.
Yep. So those conditions are tweaked, and then also adding checklist H, checklist J, checklist K, and checklist L. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
All right. So that was made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Mr. Vivaldi. Roll call. Chairman Lazaris.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Harrop.
Yes.
All right, so that passes 8-0.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Diana, Diana, do me a favor. Make sure you say hi to Ingeborg for me.
I will do that. Yes.
Just
And
quickly,
I know Jeff. Jeff
Faster?
Vassar.
Yeah, Jeff Faster. Yeah. Awesome.
before everyone leaves, a timeline on this, is it a 2-year time frame or something? Or?
Yeah, so we're hoping to go out to bid by August for this, and so there may be some construction that starts later this year with tree clearing and setting up erosion control and things like that. And then, next, about a year from now in the spring would be kind of full start to construction, and they're looking at about a 2-year construction duration.
Great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you.
So excited.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice job.
Thank
See you
you.
soon. See you
Yes.
soon.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
All right. Item 2, request for determination of applicability. Public hearing on a request for determination of applicability submitted by Joseph Vieira, owner applicant. Proposed project is an after-the-fact filing for bringing in fill and altering the rear of the property. Cleanup will be conducted under a friendly enforcement order issued by the commission. Property is known as 154 Goodale Street, map 25, lot 64, Peabody, Mass. And tonight's the first night we're talking about this, so. Is Mr. Vieira here?
Yep, I'm trying to promote him to a panelist.
Okay.
I'll try one more time, and if not, I'll just unmute him.
I see he's on. He's got to unmute himself and put a camera on. Joe, you'll have to unmute yourself and then tell us your name and your address.
Maybe move on and come back to him.
No, I think he was a little worried about having issues, so I think let's just give him a little bit. He's really the only thing on the agenda. Joe, you have to unmute yourself. I've been sending a request to unmute, and you should be able to just click unmute. I mean, the next item, if you do, while we're waiting for him, I guess, the next item, they did ask for a continuance. I don't know if you want to skip to that quickly while he figures out his computer.
The certificate of compliance one.
Yeah, so there's been some issues. I don't really want to get too into it. But there's the new owner's attorney has been working with the seller, and they just, because of all the snow, they haven't been able to figure things out. So they have, and the one of the attorneys is like really, really sick, so they asked for a continuance. They didn't even want to come via Zoom. So,
Well,
if
I'll
you,
make a motion to continue
I
the.
think Stu needs to read it first.
Okay,
Sorry, but yes.
sure.
Stu, you're muted.
Certificate of compliance, continued request for a full certificate of compliance is made by Williams and Chris Sparages on DEP file number 55934. Project is construction of a single-family home. Address is formerly known as 0 Pearl Street and now known as 18 Pearl Street, map 105, lot 85, Peabody, Mass. Order of conditions was issued on 2/28. Now I need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue. 3.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Okay, that motion was made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Mr. Athos. Roll call, Chairman Lazares.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi.
Sorry, I stepped to, yes.
Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy.
I had recused myself from the solution. That's my name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah,
okay.
you just, if you can in the beginning, just tell us, because I can't remember. I can't
Yeah,
remember
no worries.
everything.
Yeah, no worries at all. I'll do it next time.
Sorry.
No worries.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Hara.
Yes.
All right, so this passes, I believe it's 7-0 with Brian recusing.
Okay.
All right, and
I still don't see, I don't see Joe is unmuting himself yet, so.
yeah, Joe, you should be able to, I don't know if you're like on your phone. If you're on your phone, I can't help you. I don't know how to do this on my phone, but maybe leave and then come back in. And when you're in the audience, I'll just ask to unmute you, but I guess that's not working because nothing's happening when I ask to unmute.
I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on and we'll come back to Joe because the next 3 items are no motions necessary. But I gotta read them. Enforcement order.
No, you don't have to read them.
Oh, I don't have to read 4 and
They've already
5 and
been
6.
continued. You don't have to read them. They've already been continued. One has been continued to
Okay.
April 9th, the other one April 9th, and the other May 7th. You do not have to read them.
Okay.
You do have to
So
vote
we
on
have-
the minor permit though in the minutes.
All right, let me get to minor permit requests. 1 Sylvan Street, staging a dumpster and a buffer on existing paved area, was approved on 1/15 with no special conditions. Minor permit might have been overkill. Is anybody here to talk on that one? Or did you want to talk about it, Lucia?
I thought my notes said it all. I mean, all it is they probably didn't even need the minor permit, as you just
Okay.
said. It's overkill. It's
Well,
basically just a parking
they're putting a
lot, and
dumpster in their paved. They're putting a dumpster on paved areas, so as long as they don't wind up making a mess, we're all set.
So we have to
Right.
move to approve.
Second. We have a second on this.
I'll
Second.
second.
Roll call.
All right, that motion to approve was made by Arthur, and I think I heard Jamie or Brian. I can't remember.
It was
I
both
give
of
it to
us.
Jim. You give it to
Yeah, I
Jamie,
think
it's
I
fine.
beat him out on this one. Lucia.
Aye.
Jamie. So yeah, so you guys with minor permits, like if it says approved on, that means I already approved it.
Okay.
If I don't approve it, if it's not approved, I'll write on the agenda that says that like you guys need to discuss it, because that would mean that I didn't feel comfortable and the person was, trying to pressure me or something, or I just didn't know what it was. This one is pretty cut and dry. So if I don't approve them, and again, if I ever approve something and you guys don't agree with it, you need to let me know so that I don't do that again. But anyway, roll call. That motion was made by Arthur, seconded by Jamie. Roll call, Chairman Lazares.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi.
Yes.
Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
And Commissioner Harrop.
Yes.
All right, so the minor permit is passed.
What property is 1 Sylvan Street? Is it?
It actually looks like it's you can oh okay, I'm not muted. It's almost on Andover Street.
Very,
Like
it's
if you
close to
saw
the
it, it's like as
intersection.
it's turning onto Sylvan right there.
Yep.
It's a big
I thought,
long
okay.
yeah. All right, Joe Vieira is back. I'm gonna try to unmute him in the audience. Maybe this will be a little bit easier. I think panelists might get a little more difficult. So hold on one sec.
His hand's raised.
Yeah, Joe, you gotta unmute yourself, please.
Joe, look for a microphone in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen and click on that.
Well, he's not a panelist anymore, so now he's back in the audience. I don't know if he's on a tablet and or an iPhone or something, it's a little bit more difficult. Buttons are missing. But Joe, you have to unmute. We can't unmute you. So if we can't hear you, we're gonna have to move on. I don't know what to do, guys.
Well, we can continue this till next month.
I mean, I can try to promote him back to a panelist and he can look down at the bottom of the screen. Joe, you can also call in. There's a telephone number. Why don't you do that?
No, wait, I see he's unmuted himself.
Oh, Joe, woohoo! He's got it. Okay, he's connecting, it looks like.
Success.
Joe?
Oh, gee.
He's still connecting again.
Oh.
Wait.
Wasn't meant to be.
And who said we were gonna get out early?
Well, we can still get out early, but
That's out.
Joe, maybe you should try to call in. There's a telephone number. It's 646-558-8656. Or I can try to promote you back to panelist and you can do what the chairman said and look down at the bottom and try to, there's a little microphone with a red X over it and you click it and it unmutes you. Or there's a little microphone next to you. I've been asking to unmute and I normally when I ask unmute, people say a box pops up and then they unmute.
are you there, Joe?
I lowered his hand so he could raise it again if he. I'm gonna say the telephone number again. It's 646-558-8656, and then you have to add that number in that's on the agenda. I don't know. He was on last time. He got on fine, so I'm not sure what's going on this time. I can try to promote him to panelist, so hold on.
Whoa.
So Joe, now you're a panelist. You should be able to look down at the bottom of your screen, and there should be a little thing that says audio and video. and a little and they'll have like red slashes, and you just click on them and voila.
Viola.
Do you guys want to go back to the minutes while he figures it out?
Yes.
Sure.
Because you still have to vote on December and January minutes.
If you can't figure it out by the time we're done with the minutes too, I say we move on.
Okay, your motion to approve minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes for 12/11/24 and January 8th of 25.
Do I hear a second? Roll call?
Oh, who was the second? I didn't hear that.
Arthur.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. See, I'm just so concerned with Joe. Okay.
Sorry.
Motion for those minutes to be approved by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Mr. Athis. Roll call. Chairman Lazaris.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi.
Yes.
Commissioner Athis.
Yes.
Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
And Commissioner Hara.
Yes.
Okay, so the minutes have been approved, and now we just got to figure out
I'd like to
what's going
mention
on with
that
Joe.
I'd like to mention good job on using AI to help us get the minutes put together.
Well, that was just September. I haven't used AI since.
Oh, well, it worked.
Think we should just continue item 3?
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, I would.
That's
I
not,
really,
I'm sorry.
I
It wasn't
would-
item 3, it was item 4. No,
Item 2. 2.
Well,
item 3.
I would like to try, to get Joe on, because if this ends up, this could be a reason why the mayor would not let us continue to Zoom. So we really have to try our hardest to get Joe to somehow unmute himself. Joe, unmute.
Didn't you hear?
I mean, if I had a work phone, I'd call him, but I can't use my personal phone. I've been advised by my attorney not to use my personal phone for work.
Really?
Can we
Want us to
call him?
call?
If you
If
guys
you
want to
should-
call him, his number is on the RDA application. It should be.
Which I don't have in front of me.
Did
Yeah, his
someone?
number is on the application. If someone wants to try to call him and see what's going on his end, maybe someone can help him figure out because it's probably hard for him to not be able to talk to us. But it looks like he's gone.
Yeah, he probably was like, "How come they're not talking to me?"
I think there is a phone. Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Joe.
Yay!
Oh my God, I'm in a panic attack right now. This is ridiculous.
It is.
Well, welcome to modern technology.
Yeah.
So
I think it's because I'm in my basement. I was on my tablet. I heard everybody. I watched everything, and it's just for some reason I kept hitting unmute, 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 and went unmute.
Huh. Do we have to read this again or just read it?
Probably just for good measure.
All right. Request for determination of applicability. Item 2, public hearing on request for determination of applicability submitted by Joseph Vieira, owner applicant. Proposed project is an after-the-fact filing for bringing in fill and altering the rear of his property. The cleanup will be conducted under friendly enforcement order issued by the commission. property is known as 154 Goodale Street, map 25, lot 64, Peabody, Mass. Tonight's the first night we're meeting on this. Go ahead, Joe. Tell us about your project.
We had a meeting last month, and you people gave me till May 1st to clean up the back of the yard and get rid of everything. And I started doing some of it, but it actually snowed, so it'll be all cleaned up by May 1st.
Okay, anybody else?
Can you elaborate a little bit about any kind of progress you've made or have not made?
Well, yes, I started getting rid of some of the stuff that was behind there. I just got to keep keep bringing it up and getting rid of it.
So just like, is it wood or was it metal or was it
No,
tanks or?
I have some ladders that I've had for years, some staging poles, some pressure treated lumber. I have some trash barrels that have some copper piping in it that I was going to cash in. I have some 2x4s. I have some cinder blocks back there.
Okay.
When I bought the house, there's some 2 foot by 2 foot patio blocks. Everybody wants them, but nobody comes to get them. But I'll get rid of them. As far as the ladders and stuff, I'm gonna start giving that stuff away. Everything I have back there, it looks like it's junk, but it's actually pretty good stuff, or else I wouldn't have it back there. But it looks like junk the way I had the laborers put it back there. Supposed to be nice and neat, but when I came home, it looks like Stanford and some back there.
What's the square footage of your alteration?
All I was doing was adding dirt to level off the backyard because it had a big gouge in it that just flooded every time it rained, and the grass was killing the grass because I had a beautiful lawn back there, and then for some reason the water just started piling up. So my reason for doing it was to bring some fill in to try to level straight across, and then put lumen grass down.
All right. Will you be storing anything there?
No, I'm getting all that stuff back there because I'm hoping to retire before I die. I'm
Right.
I'm gonna get rid of all the stuff. I call people, yep, I'll be there, and nobody comes. So now it's just I'll bring it to where I work and get rid of it in the dumpster.
Okay.
Can't even give the stuff away.
If the
That's it.
we need to understand is the property lines stay as they are, and you're altering the riverfront property. If you ever decide to file NOI in the future, this riverfront alteration should be factored into the new project, and only a certain percentage can be altered in the riverfront. Are the trees dead that are around that are filled?
There's 2 trees that have been dead for I don't know how long. I have a picture of that whole back all grass from 2010, and the tree was already dead.
Are you going to take it down?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I have to talk to Mr.
And then there's a pipe discharging, I guess.
That pipe, they had that pipe there for when I believe when they backwashed the pool. But I have a filter. I have a filter that I don't necessarily have to backwash.
So are you
I can remove
cap
the pipe. I don't have a problem with that.
Remove the pipe. Okay.
Yes, I can get rid of the pipe.
So we have a motion. Do we have a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue till to May or April.
May 1st.
Right, but we want to have a meeting
Oh, okay.
again.
Yeah,
in
well,
March.
we continue. Why don't we continue it to April?
April.
Yeah, we can until April. This way, if you're supposed to have it done by May 1st, at least there's an
Right.
option there, a couple weeks
Right.
to say what's going on,
Well, this is an RDA, you guys. There's an RDA in enforcement. I mean, that pipe has to come out. That's illegal. That should have
Right.
never been in there.
Yeah, I can get rid of I'll get rid of the pipe tomorrow.
Which, I mean, that could go under the enforcement order. So, I mean, do you guys want to wait? I mean, honestly, it kind of makes sense if you guys want to wait until like the snow's gone for this and he can just out for a bit. And then I think you guys got to see it. And I noticed that the property owner isn't here either. So it's up to you guys if you want to
Well, I think
continue
yeah,
it.
no, right now, that pipe,
I'll go out there
if
tomorrow and get rid of the
that
pipe.
was for, if that pipe was for backwash for a pool filter, then that pipe being there till April or May is not gonna hurt anybody.
I'll get rid of
You
it
know,
tomorrow, and I'll
Cause,
take a picture and
'cause,
send it in.
Okay.
well,
I don't have a
the
problem
ground
with
is, the ground is solid, frozen solid. You're gonna kill yourself trying to get
Yeah,
that pipe
Joe,
out.
don't hurt yourself. Joe, there's ice, like they're giving you some grace, so take
it.
it.
Wait,
Yeah,
Do
wait
it,
until March
Joe. Do
15th.
it.
Yeah.
Take
when
out
the
the
ground
pipe.
thaws out, when the ground
Wait
thaws
until
out
St.
and
Patrick's Day.
What's that?
All right.
No,
When do we want to continue this to? Next meeting? Yeah, what meeting?
I'd say April.
April?
April.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion in a second? That's April 9.
I'm making a motion to continue to April 9th for 154 Goodale.
Second,
Seconded.
roll call.
Okay, so Joe, you will be heard again at the April 9th meeting. That motion was made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Miss Green. Roll call, Chairman Lazaris.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo?
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi?
Yes.
Commissioner Athos?
Yes.
Commissioner Comack?
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy?
Yes.
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
And Commissioner Harrop.
Yes.
All right, so it is continued to April 9th, 8-0.
Thank you, Joe.
thank you guys. Have a great night.
You too. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I was going to ask, what's the status of the business that's opening next to the city hall?
Oh, Brody's.
Brody's?
March. Hope in March.
Uh-huh.
I'm buying.
Did they took care of all of the wetland issues that you
They're going to cut
identified?
the tree? Are they going to cut that tree down?
They just cut it like a week or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I ran out there because I got my my eyes in all the windows, and they were like, "Are they supposed to be out there?" So I went over, talked to one of the guys, made sure that they were doing what Bruce asked. They of course waited until the winter while it went dormant, and then they are going to leave it. I think it was like a foot or a foot and a half, and they had no problem with that. They said it was difficult to get in there anyway, and they didn't want to be grinding and grubbing and right there. So soon, I think they're like the building inspector was in the building like a couple weeks ago. People were like walking around looking at it, but it's just not. Soon, I heard the buzz on the street is like hopefully St. Patrick's Day. Oh, Ozzy, is that Ozzy or Cass?
Cassie.
They invite us to the grand opening.
that a horse?
We can all meet together and have a drink if you want. And I'll let you know.
Horse the horse.
They-
Keep waiting. I keep
I mean, they
waiting.
might
for the
if they have
mailman.
a soft opening and they invite. I will definitely if there's a soft opening, I will find out. I just don't know if they're gonna have soft opening only because they've already been in business and they already know.
They
so
should.
I know. We'll
Freak
see.
in.
I'll definitely let you guys know.
All right.
I want Sierra Nevada.
Get my
keg.
mail.
Anybody have anything else?
Sierra Nevada, writing it down. I will let Mike know. All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay, motion to adjourn made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Miss Green. Roll call, Chairman Lazaris.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi.
Yes.
Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
And Commissioner Harrop.
Yes.
All right, it is 8:29 and we have adjourned, and I'm just double checking. I feel like we went through that. I guess that's it.
That's it. We went through everything.
Great job, everybody. Woohoo!
I think we broke a record for the shortest meeting.
This one will go down in history over the last 5 years.
Even with
It's like
Arthur
my
jinxing
screen.
us, we made it through. It was good.
Okay. Have a good night,
Did you
everybody.
guys notice this? My screen?
The sun is
Yeah.
setting.